you remember your first article you ever wrote?
I think it was I remember it being something about New Year's Eve and kissing.
Right.
Vaguely.
Is that because on that New Year's Eve you were...
No, it was something
had
about
a Harry Met Sally moment?
No, unfortunately I've never had anything like that on New Year's. But I think it was something to do with the pressures of a New Year's kiss, because back in the day when I actually first started writing, I had a site called The Adventures of G-Girl.
Right.
I worked for a company called Catholic Care doing family mediation, and then started this kind of sex writing as well. And I thought, well, I can't really work for a religious organisation and be talking about sex. So my girlfriend created this, who's a graphic designer, character, and she was G-Girl, and she was this kind of like a superhero. And then I would write blogs underneath G-Girl, and that's how I kind of started writing, was through The Adventures of G-Girl. So
then when you do your writing and you have to do these research of topics, do you still now go and try these things? Are you somebody who says, you know, I'm not going to knock it till I try it?
I don't know always so much about trying it, but I'll investigate it.
Right.
So I'm the type of person who will talk to the people that are involved. It doesn't matter if that's to do with sex, marriage, lifestyle. The other day I interviewed a woman who came up with a 10-year marriage contract. I'll hunt you down and find out who you are and pester you till I can talk to you and find out from the source. I don't like having an opinion unless I know something about the subject. So, I mean, the porn one was a good example because I was like, well, let's...
No, I was just wondering about the anal one you had written on the blog. That wasn't...
Well, let's just say some things might be from experience, some things might be from interviewing people. And that's the beauty of being, you know, in my position and writing the way that I do, is that you still have to have a private life. So, you know, I don't
I think that would be the biggest pressure of anybody if they were your boyfriend. And again, I think I spoke to this once before about, you know, you're in bed and you have your fun, then you turn over and grab your notepad and all of a sudden start jotting notes down, and you know would you I don't know, does your partner feel like he's under that pressure or not?
I think it takes a particular type of strong man not to think like that. But you know, I think when I was dating, you would cop that. People would think that you were going to hold up a scorecard, or that there was a certain amount of pressure.
Wouldn't think, they were probably hoping.
Yeah, probably hoping that they're going to get a good number. But also, even too, as a sexologist, you feel a certain amount of pressure as well. That, well, what happens if they think I'm terrible, or what happens if I don't perceive or come across as being sexy? So the pressure works both ways. But a right relationship is when you focus more on the person, not on, you know, the pressure to perform, or, you know, what is my partner going to be rating me out of? If you're in that mind space and you're not connected with your partner, then you're in the wrong relationship. So, you know, that's kind of I suppose the fun was always about dating as a sexologist, is it motivates you to find somebody that...
Did you tell guys straight up that's what you do when you're out there going,
I used to, and then I didn't.
Yeah.
Because when you're younger and you're new into the world, you realise that you can get a certain amount of attention by talking about sex.
Yeah.
And unlike
well,
a lot of
especially
other
as a woman,
people,
as a woman coming into a group, all of a sudden...
Well, I think we're becoming like men too. Like, we want to talk about sex like men do, but I also think we're understanding that we can use it for attention. And that's what I feel like maybe I used to do when I first started studying sexology, and I could talk about the subject in a different way. I wasn't necessarily telling people what I got up to, but I could have an intellectual conversation about sex. And, you know, often when you're on a first date, or, you know, you're at a bar and you're talking to somebody, getting a conversation going can be really difficult. It's not difficult when you can keep a conversation going about sex. But then what I started to learn
You just got to keep asking questions. That's the thing. Keep asking questions.
Making comments, asking questions.
Hey,
making comments, asking questions.
That's the secret.
But, you know, eventually I think you do realise that it attracts a wrong type of attention. And when you do become a sexologist for an X amount of years, you start to realise that you want to be seen as a person as well. Like, yes, this is a job, but there's a person behind that. And it entirely of who you are is not just someone who knows something about sex.
What's your take on marriage?
It's an interesting one, because I used to be a family mediator. So, you know, I believe that these days we need to recreate what the term means. So many of us fit into this idea of tradition, and we expect that it's going to bring us happiness and fulfillment. And then we end up scratching our heads when we're not quite there, thinking, well, I did the right thing. You know, I dated the person, I got engaged, I got married, I had children, and yet, you know, I'm struggling on that level. So I feel like we should still be married if we want to, but we also need to explore other ways of partnerships and unions. But even re-identifying what that term means. So many people I find who are not religious end up going off to a church, having a minister and saying till death do us part, forsaking all others, and never challenging this traditional role of marriage. Why can't you get married and not say till death do us part, forsaking all others? Maybe you don't think marriage is forever. 50% of people are ending up divorced. So maybe we need to accept that marriage is a form of relationship and it may not last for forever. But even identifying the roles in a marriage. You know, a lot of women are really open to being an empowered, strong woman, and then they get married and they slowly slip back into this role of, I'm just going to sit at home and I'm going to take care of my family and my husband.
Is that not something that has been around for many years through fairy tales? You know, like let's.
It is. We still have this fairy tale approach of love.
It's in there, and let's get Prince Charming, and then I can relax.
We get saved.
I mean, yeah. I mean, even when the Princess Queen Mary now, Denmark. That was the fantasy that everybody didn't. Everybody just then go, "Oh my God, how lucky is she?" Went, well, hang on.
It's not only just the desire of the princess, and I say to a lot of women, be the queen, not the princess, because this notion for young women to be a princess, when you look at what a princess has to do, you know, look at Meghan Markle. She's now giving up her acting career, isn't she? Because, you know, they're preparing her for palace life. She has to give up a lot of her life to take on this role, and if she does marry Harry, then her life will be dictated by the palace.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at the Queen is the person in charge. So it's kind of better to say to young girls, don't worry about being the princess. Don't be controlled. Don't be completely dominated and saved by a prince. Be the one that's in charge. You know, it's this whole, what's the saying, boss, I want to say boss bitch, but it's not boss bitch. That saying,
sounds good.
Girl boss.
Okay,
this is what we're saying now, girl boss.
Yeah.
Well, I say, instead of girl boss, let's say queen instead of princess.
Good. You're in that situation, and your life is under a microscope. You can't do anything. You can't go to the sex clubs, and you can't go.
Couldn't buy you sex toys. I want to know if the royals buy sex toys.
Do you?
And if they do, where do they get them from? Because Harry or Wills or
Amazon,
whoever,
eBay.
And then where's the address? Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem even with fame.
Yeah.
There's so many people who want fame and they want to be in the spotlight, and yet when they get there and realise that they have no privacy whatsoever and they can't date whoever they want to do, and they can't, I mean, the rumours of all these guys that are gay that still kind of run around, and you hear about people going up and signing contracts.
That is a bizarre thing, isn't it? To think, are they rumours? Are they become...
urban myths.
Yeah, they become urban myths.
I've heard many things about different people from good sources, and I do think when there's fuel, there's
but what
fire.
does it matter? You know, again, you go, what does it matter? Who cares?
Well, for them, I think you've got to look at for certain masculines. Like the problem is with the masculine roles, you don't really see an openly gay actor playing, say, a stereotypically masculine lead role. Hollywood, in some ways, is kind of backwards with that. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure on these guys.
So you're saying there's a couple of lead actors out there that you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well,
there's a couple of
about 4 foot tall.
Yeah. Dark hair.
Oh.
Yeah. Who men have to sign contracts, and I mean you hear of all those rumours a lot, and I'm sure that there's some of it that's
if you're going to sign a contract, wouldn't in the end you go, you know what? I wonder what the hell's in the contract.
I want to speak to someone who signed one of these contracts in Hollywood, because I do want to see, what are they threatening? Like, what are you signing? You'll be arrested if you talk to TMZ.
Your family start disappearing.
Yeah. You're going to lose a toe. Like, what is it?
We'll drag a relative into Scientology.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that would be in there.
I've always wanted to talk to a Scientologist about what they believe to do with sex.
Yeah, well...
I'm not sure they would let me in.
Probably not, but they'd be out there. But I think they just clam up. They're like a lot of those
you can't get
cults.
You can't get the information out, because I recently just did a launch in LA at some place called the Museum of Broken Relationships. It's opposite the Office of Scientology.
Yeah, the big building, the big one,
the big building in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of go in and knock on the door and be like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Nikki. I'm just curious. Like, can someone talk to me about what your views on sex are?"
You'd be like that Louis Theroux movie.
I'd probably disappear.
Yeah, that was...
I'd be missing a thumb.
That was scary stuff.